This would be a board review, whiteboard review. NET-136, so it'll be in the Fridays of weeks 5, 6, and 7. Week 5 we did this review, we talked about learning items, we talked about the theory. File and file management, directories, understand paths, edit and view, information, copy, move, copy, delete. This was the classwork 3. We'll talk a little bit about classwork 1, which basic commands, directories, files, and so forth. Classwork 2 was connectivity, SSH. You should be able to put in a static IP. And then eventually we'll talk about backups and adding users. You should be able to move through the file system. So we had lots of dealings with, CD, changing directories. Should be able to manage files, copy, move, delete, change permissions, delete, I said that already, so forth. Need to be able to do that between systems too. That's where we talk about the secure copy, preserve the file dates and so forth, and then may have to give the path to the file, user, server, and then the path where you want the file to go. We can compress files and combine. Actually, it does a couple things, compresses and combines them. We can do a tar, create gzip file. Here would be the file name and what to compress and combined. We can use here to view a file and here to extract. We also talked about change mod. We've got the owner, group, all others, and then what directory of files we're going to change. Read, write, execute. Reads a 4, writes a 2, executes a 1. So if you do a 7, that means that they're all going to be true. It's going to be read, write, execute. An example of a 5, that would be read and execute, right? 4 and 1. And if it's just write, it'd be a 2, and so forth. We did a example in class. We created a hash, filed a hash, and then we redirected into a hashed file. We did some encryption, real simple encryption, pretty good encryption. This --c is to create it. That'd be the file that's going to be encrypted. And then you can decrypt the file, GPG, and then it's going to prompt you for the passphrase and you can decrypt it. 3 of 9. Some theory. Talked about virtual machines. Your documents, I want you to copy the documents over to the shared on the work server. 1. Here Talk about multitasking, process, how do we synchronize? So we have a scheduler, different ways to schedule. What process gets use of the machine? And then I talked about some examples here. Kernel, shared data, memory, and out here too, storage. Here we talked a little bit more about the hardware end. You can see we app in memory, another app in memory, another one. Inside memory you could have data. You will have data. Talked a little bit about cache being connected there to the processor, high speed memory. Information has to go from here into the processor, stored in the registers. The processor can do arithmetic logic unit, do arithmetic, make logical decisions, and it's going to transfer items after it does the work back down here to memory from the processor. We talked about the two modes, user mode, kernel mode. Processes can run in user mode until they need the kernel to access something like hardware. As memory becomes short, there's an area on the hard drive, virtual memory, that can be set aside, that is set aside for operating systems to store items. And this looks like a virtual memory. This here term, sometimes referred to as paging or a page, or this also referred to as a swap file. We talked 64-bit bus, we talked the NIC connecting out. Kernel mode, access to the resources, memory management, what processes get to go, if there's an interrupt, how it's going to schedule those, and so forth. We're going to install a Radius server after spring break for authentication, authorization, and auditing, or accounting. Some people refer to that as accounting. Network access control, we talked about that and the protocol 802.1x. You have a laptop wants to connect to the network. We can send this information up to a Radius server, and they can do it, all three of these, and then allow access then through the port. Same thing can happen to your phone on an access point, wireless. We talked a little bit about bringing your own device and that idea. When we use this to secure, you're securing at the port, which would be the physical layer, instead of securing up here at a server. Don't let people into the network, even if they can't get to the server. When run levels, Linux can have various run levels. You can have the multi-user and the graphical, and there's ways to boot to a lower level where all of the resources have not been loaded yet. So it's good for troubleshooting. It's like safe mode in Windows. Then I gave them a little task to do. Going to back up their home directory on their virtual machines to work server 1. You can use the directory which you share. Almost done. So here's some more information. We talked about paging, swapping, virtual memory, space on the hard drive. And I talked about the example Cobalt. We used to code it 50 to 100 lines. They'd call that a page. So it's more efficient for the older computers to manage that. That is it.